Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And now my big question of today is, do you guys own more than $100 worth of crypto? Let me know in the comments section down below, and please guys, do not put your entire holdings in the comment section, just put yes or no, that is enough. And as I said, let's get on with the video. First article, very intriguing subject and very interesting title. It reads, Ripple CTO says he would almost certainly buy XRP if he didn't have skin in the game. David Schwartz claims he would still purchase XRP even if he wasn't involved in Ripple. Basically admitting that if he were to be like any of us who are not directly involved with Ripple and who are watching from the sidelines, he would still invest, giving a lot of these investors like you and I a little bit of insurance or assurance that what they're doing is golden and that XRP is really the thing, right? It's really it. Even David Schwartz thinks so. Schwartz is not an XRP tycoon. If Ripple wasn't a thing, he would still purchase. In a series of recent tweets, and we can actually check that out on Twitter because everything is public, Spud said, "While you are speculating, David, if you were not involved with the company Ripple, knowing what you know now, would you invest in XRP?" David replied and said, "Almost certainly. I was a Bitcoin miner in 2011. I bought Ethereum in the first offering. I've held a number of ICO tokens and still hold some. I've probably owned at least 40 different tokens at one time or another." And again, he went on a little bit further, a little bit later. You have to look for it though. Let's see here. Unstablecoin asked, "I wonder if Joel Katz ever thinks to himself, I wish I had pushed hard for smarter contracts, and I'm still not fully convinced, yada, yada, yada." A full discussion is going on here, and if you look a little bit further, you'll find more very interesting answers from David, but that's good at the start here. XRP, or Schwartz is not an XRP tycoon. The price of XRP reached $3.65 back in January, which made Ripple co-founders and bosses filthy rich for a bit. Its former CEO, Chris Larsen, was technically one of the wealthiest persons in the world with a net worth of nearly $60 billion. And unlike Larsen and Ripple co-founder McCaleb, Schwartz preferred a 2% stake in Ripple instead of XRP holdings, despite being the main architect of the cryptocurrency that is struggling to shrug off centralization accusations. Back in 2018, Schwartz claimed that Ripple didn't create XRP and its success wasn't actually correlated to the company itself. Fast forward to today, when XRP is changing hands below 20 cents and Schwartz believed that it's valued fairly. And basically he also stated somewhere in this, where was it now? Oh yeah, just here at this part here, he preferred a 2% stake in Ripple instead of XRP holdings, which to a certain degree shows he has more faith in Ripple than XRP because, well, that's pretty strange. On the contrary, on a different side, XRP, buying it yourself is a lot simpler than buying into Ripple, right? So from that perspective, possibly it was the right choice. And also, if you're going to be working at Ripple directly, and XRP and Ripple are not necessarily correlated, they can be and most likely will be, but are not, a given, then it kind of speaks for itself that you would go for Ripple in this case. But mostly the enter barrier, buying into Ripple is a lot more of an interesting process than buying XRP. He could have just done that easily. I don't really know. Otherwise, though, I don't know why this would be a positive statement, really. I really don't understand. Maybe it's to show that he doesn't really care about the money that much. He's held onto tons of assets, and it's just about, the change of the world. I don't really know. And at the bottom here, if Ripple wasn't a thing, if I wasn't so focused on Ripple, I probably would be building tokenless smart contract systems, which is a little bit more on this discussion here, which is really interesting as well. But one thing I must note that we fetched from the article here is actually that we knew before, but I came up again with during reading this article. And by the way, if I'm not speaking perfect English, I'm sorry. Again, not my native language, as a lot of you know, but some are still harassing me in the comment section saying, "You bozo, you pronounced that word wrong, you stupid ass." All right, what I just noticed once more is that David Schwartz is, I guess, one of the hardest working individuals for XRP, right? We all know that, we all understand. One thing we are forgetting sometimes is that David Schwartz has been thinking about decentralized systems and blockchains for the last, what could it be, 30, 40 years, I guess at least 30 years he's been thinking about it. What that also shows to me is this guy, David Schwartz here, is not going to let the SEC rule this out as a security. He's thought this out so freaking through so well, and I don't think there could be any doubt in his mind as an individual or person like him. I don't think would really go with that flow of allowing that to be the case. And also, I think David, if it were an option, would go for 100% decentralization on XRP instead of whatever percentage it is right now. I think he's one of those types of individuals, right? There's sometimes debates about whether or not he's Satoshi Nakamoto because he knows so much about blockchain, crypto, and all that. Yeah, all I can do is just admit to all of this, guys. He's a GOAT in the crypto space. And since he is involved with XRP, there's really no way it can go wrong. And that's something I sometimes forget, but I should be reminding myself of every single day. Bitcoin can attract large capital inflows on short notice, research. Bitcoin is at the cusp of attracting large capital inflows from the neighboring stablecoin market, according to a weekly research note published by Glassnode. The on-chain market analyst highlighted that the net supply of dollar-pegged tokens surged higher than that of Bitcoin. It concluded that more money held in stablecoins increases the chances for Bitcoin to start a new price rally on short notice. What we've seen is that there is an entry barrier when people try to get in from fiat into crypto, and specifically when they try to go from fiat to Bitcoin, more so than from fiat to a stablecoin. However, if people are already inside of a stablecoin and that, I guess, just equity builds up, what we also will be noticing is that whenever it's due or whenever it's time or whenever people want it, and you'll notice that, people can easier transfer over their stablecoins into Bitcoin than they could with dollars. And I mean, in my opinion, that sounds extremely logical and also something we must watch out for. However, yeah, is that worth the research? Or I think that's pretty obvious to know just on your own, in my opinion. But maybe it's interesting to see exactly when a lot of money can flow in really quickly. I don't really think so, though. I don't think it's worth your time. But one thing I must admit on this part is that I talked to you guys earlier about why I hold Bitcoin and why I think it's actually a smart hold for many people. And that is because you don't got to think about how many people's lives will it change and all that type of stuff. You got to think also about what can make you the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. And one thing to add there is that if a Bitcoin bull or a bull run were to come in crypto, it will most likely be that Bitcoin is going to run up first and then move over into other assets. Knowing that, why would you not hold that asset which is going to gain first, right? You're always taking chances, but this is the best odd. And will Bitcoin stay for the next 10 years? I can't tell you. But will it be the first coin to run up really, really ridiculously high? Well, most likely so. I see those odds as very, very likely. And also, it can attract a lot of capital. It is the number one coin in terms of money. It has the highest market cap. It has the highest volume out of all those cryptos coins. And what it will almost always have as well is the most amount of investors at this point and the most amount of quick money, which in that sense, I mean exactly what they read here. It will have the most amount of, big investors who are trying to get into crypto real quick. They would most likely step into Bitcoin first and all of that. And maybe later it will transfer into XRP, who knows? But since there's another entry barrier to get to XRP, a lot of people will buy into Bitcoin first or into stable coins and then into Bitcoin and then into other crypto instead of another way around. Party's over. Altcoins take a hit after Monday's bearish reversal in stocks. Not really true, right? Not really true. But on the contrary, it is really, really true. So earlier today, I talked about what I think about the correlation between stocks and crypto. And I still think it's going to be ridiculously strong positively. So with that, I mean, if stocks go down, crypto is going to fall straight afterwards. However, it's not a certain thing, all right? It's not a certain thing. And it's also still a little bit of a question on whether or not it was the stocks really doing it or crypto just being overexposed to the gains, because we saw a lot of these cryptos in the gains for a very long while, and maybe the correction was just due. But on a side note, and that's why I said on the contrary, it could also be that they're just following stock and moving along with that. It's very difficult to know exactly what's true about it because, well, they're both, markets. They both require money. They both are involving people with logical minds, with rational choices very often. And thus, markets can go down on the same day without really being correlated to each other. And how I mean that is they could be going down for completely different reasons. And then the question comes in, what do you call correlation, right? If they just do this on a couple of occasions, but really in general have no similar trend, there's no correlation possibly. But it's just a question of when do you count it as real correlation. I know you can of course do it with R squared or just R squared and just see it that way with the mean squared errors and whatnot. But you guys know what I mean, right? Here, it could just be really a big coincidence where a lot of these days Bitcoin and the rest of the cryptos go down while stocks do, but still they'd have completely different reasons, which are then not really measured. And also, maybe on the upside, they're not relating at all, right? Which is another possibility. These two lagging major altcoins looked prime to rally. I find it really interesting. These guys are very often at a premium website, I believe, whatever, talking about some altcoins that not many people are talking about anymore. And that brought my attention to the question, what altcoins do you like the most? I've been hearing a lot of different ones in the comment section every now and then, but still, you always got to keep me updated. And by the way, if you are enjoying these daily crypto videos, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe. ADA and XRP joined the list of digital assets that are outperforming Bitcoin. At this point, of course, everything becomes a little bit more vague and a little bit less bloomy as coins are going down. But just prior to that, a lot of these cryptos were doing better than Bitcoin did, which is also what we'll see happening if another big altcoin run were to come. But the big question is, will Bitcoin increase like crazy in dominance right now to about 70, maybe even 80%, and then all that money transfer over into altcoins again? Will Bitcoin stay in the middle with this dominance for a longer while and then go either side? Or will we go down in dominance like crazy and maybe just ignite an altcoin run without involving Bitcoin? I think that's what most people are thinking about right now. Rich Dad Poor Dad author, gold guys are being phased out. Best-selling author Robert Kiyosaki says he's still investing in gold, silver, and Bitcoin because he doesn't trust the US government. And that is an opinion that many of you guys are having as well, and that I could sort of get behind also. And what I mean to say with that is, there is some insights that have popped up over the last couple of months here that there could be some massive inflation or a massive market crash, and to really hedge against that or be prepared for it, people are massively diving into things like gold or silver, as just said, or Bitcoin. And I really understand the reasons. I mean, mass quantitative easing can't really hurt an economy, and we also don't know how this trade war with China, between the US and China, is going to work out. We don't know if the US is always going to stay on top of the game, or if some of these emerging markets are going to take over. It's very difficult to see exactly what's going to be coming up, because what we're witnessing now is so weird from what we've seen before. Because maybe if there wasn't a pandemic going on, and I would say the pandemic is not necessarily a little bit more over, but it's kind of, since it's getting further from the start, people are getting less worried about it, I've noticed. And since there was a pandemic going on, we don't really know how the stocks would have reacted if it wasn't going on. If there would have still been a crash regardless without a pandemic, or what? Or if the pandemic even saved stocks, or if it, was the only reason stocks went down already. And was that a good thing? And what's saved? I mean, if they just helped stocks go down for a little bit, even though it's recovering once more now. Because, well, some are counting the big move from earlier this year as a recession. Was it so? Well, that's up to you to decide, because the prices went down like crazy. And yeah, I can understand why you would call it that way, but it's an opinion-based thing. Libra's newest rival could be England's central bank digital-backed currency, or bank-backed digital currency. Wow, that's an interesting BBDC. But yeah, this is what I read about earlier on the 5-Minute Crypto channel. Really interesting situation, but Bank of England is looking into CBDCs, which is always good for Ripple and XRP, as I've explained before as well. Alright guys, that was it for this video. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you press the like button and subscribe, and let me know what you think about the situation surrounding David Schwartz in the comments section down below.